Hey guys, and welcome to Coding for Kids. In this video, we are going to be talking about the components of a CPU. So if you guys saw the last video, you guys might know today we are going to be looking at the components of a CPU. And in the last video, we looked at the components of a computer, and we talked about the CPU a little bit. But when we went over the diagram, we saw lots of parts that we didn't know the definitions to and what the purpose was. So today I am going to be explaining all of that. So if you guys saw part 1, you guys will have a good understanding of a CPU. If you guys didn't, go check out that video, because that video is gonna lead straight up to this video, and it's really important that you do watch that video. But if you didn't already, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. So first, let's look at the overview of this video. So in part 1, we looked at what a computer was, hardware and software, the central processing unit or the CPU, and we looked at a CPU diagram. In part 2, we are going to be looking at input and output. We're also going to be looking at the memory unit and the types of memory units. And finally, we're going to be going over the control unit and the ALU in the CPU. So first, let's look at input and output. So input devices are used to enter a piece of data or instructions into a computer. So the key word is enter. So input, you're kind of giving something in. For example, if you've seen the picture I have right here, you could see that we have a microphone. In this case, I am using a microphone to record this video. So I am giving my voice in the microphone. And then the output devices are used to present or display the result produced by the computer to the user. For example, if we see here, let's say I'm using a microphone. You guys can hear my voice through a speaker or a headphone. Anyway, you can still hear my voice. So those are output devices, because input is something you're giving. So another example might be a webcam. If I was sharing my face in the video, I would be using a webcam. So that means I am giving a video of my face, and then you guys might see that on a monitor or a device. So this is input and output, and input and output is in the CPU, but it's in lots of other things as well. So input and output is two terms that is very, very, very important when looking at the computer. So now let's look at the memory unit. So the memory unit is a unit that stores the data and instructions which are gone through the input devices. So if you looked at my last video, part 1, you might see in the diagram that the input led directly to the memory. And this unit stores it. For example, you can't directly put the input right into code, suddenly just zooming in. It needs to be stored for a little bit, because there are the arithmetic and logic unit and the control unit. So you need somewhere to store all of this. So the memory unit is the correct unit for this. So the memory unit is in 2 different types. So if we go to our next slide, you can see right here, there are types of memory units. So first we have the primary storage, and this communicates directly to the CPU. This is like the main memory unit, and storage is like the memory. It's the exact same thing. So when I say storage unit and memory unit, they're the exact same thing, because the memory unit stores stuff. So we also call it the storage unit. So first, let's look at the primary storage. So the primary storage communicates directly to the CPU. This is almost like the main memory unit. And it also enables the computer to store data. So this is the main storage. This is the one that really stores all the data. The secondary storage supplements the primary storage. It helps the primary storage. This transfers data from one computer to another. So you still need to store it, but it's also transferring data. So these memory units, types of memory units, are really important. So you can kind of think of primary storage as the most important. It's like the boss, I guess. It communicates directly with the CPU. And the secondary unit, it's like a helper for the primary storage. So now that we know the types of memory units, let's look at the control unit and the arithmetic logic unit, or the ALU in the CPU. So the control unit controls or monitors communications between hardware. So it's almost like a kind of like controlling person with the hardware. For example, it tells the hardware what to do, and it just kind of monitors the communication. It makes sure everything is all right. The arithmetic and logic unit, or the ALU, performs arithmetic and logic operations. So this kind of does coding and math operations. For example, if we were having a calculator, it would do all the calculations and stuff like that. So that's what the control unit and arithmetic logic unit is. We call the arithmetic and logic unit the ALU. So it's just short. So if you say ALU, that means the arithmetic and logic unit. So this is also a diagram you're going to need for the ALU. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but just know that when we have this kind of V shape, we're talking about the arithmetic and logic unit. Then let's look at the overview of this video. So in part 1, we got what a computer is, hardware and software, the central processing unit, or the CPU, and then we looked at a CPU diagram. In part 2, which is this video, we looked at input and output, which input is something you're entering, and output is kind of the result of that entering data. Then we got the memory unit, and the memory unit just stores data from the input. And we looked at types of memory units, which are the primary storage and the secondary storage. Then we looked at the control unit, which kind of controls and monitors the communications between hardware. It's kind of monitoring everything. And then the ALU, the arithmetic logic unit, kind of does all the calculations and math in the CPU. It's kind of like the little it's the thing that really makes all the coding happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will leave not just this part but also last part slide, because in the last video I just left what we did in part 1, but now I'll leave what we did in part 1 and part 2, so the full slideshow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell, because that would mean a lot, and that would also help the channel out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!